the third episode of Mind Over Matter. My name's Paul and I'm delighted you are joining us today. Mind Over Matter is all about talking to people facing mental health issues in their lives and sharing their stories. Mental health affects so many people, and the more we can talk about it, the less taboo it becomes and the more we can help each other. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological and social well-being. It also affects how we think, feel and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress related to others and make healthy choices in our lives. If you are struggling and need support, don't go anywhere. We will be sharing links and contact details at the end of the show. Today we have some really topics and good guests, and I would like to welcome our first special guest, bare knuckle boxer, reality TV star Andrew Goff, also known as Goffy.
Welcome to Mind Over Matter episode 3, and we have our special celebrity guest, Andrew Goffy. Andrew Goff, also known as Goffy. He's a reality TV star and knuckle boxer fighter. Welcome, thank you for coming to us today.
Do you know what, guys? It's an absolute privilege. I'm honoured to be here and speak with you guys and share my story. And I hope one thing that I hope from today is hopefully I can help people. Like I say, I've had a lot of great highs, but I've had a lot of great lows. But hopefully this will go out to a lot of people, and I hope 80-90% will help people, because I've watched stuff like this in the past, and these kind of things do help people.
So what is your story, and how did you overcome it? What are your coping mechanisms?
Right. Well, do you want me to go back to the start?
What is the main aspect of what happened in your life, I would say?
So I had like the phenomenal childhood when I lived with my mum, my dad, my sister. Phenomenal, the best childhood you could ever imagine. My mum and my dad split up when I was 5 or 6, and then I kind of had no father figure in my life, and I was a bit of a twat, really, just a bit of because I had no male figure in my life to tell me what to do. And then I was, for better words, a little bugger at school, got expelled.
Sorry, didn't you mention that you were sectioned or something?
Yeah, so I'll get to that. So it all kind of started when it come from school. So I was never academic, and I left school, and I can remember one school teacher he said to me, "Dad, he's never going to be nothing. He's never going to do nothing." And that just it was like a rocket up the arse. And I thought, who are you talking to? So I tried, and I had so many jobs, and all I wanted to do when I was growing up was be a firefighter. And I thought, the school teacher that taught me I can't do it, I thought, it was a big piss off to you kind of thing. So it took me years and years and years, and then I got in. I was a firefighter for 7 years, and I wasn't the best of firefighters. I crashed 2 fire engines. I got caught with drugs in my system, driving fire engines. I was terrible, so I did leave, and then I split up with my partner, who was my next door neighbour, and then my life went to ratchet really. So after that, I had a multi-million-pound business. I was a car salesman. I lost the second lockdown was COVID. I started hitting the drink as a boredom, because my life with having ADHD was so fast paced, and then I hit alcohol, and then unfortunately alcohol led to open a gateway to drugs, and then I was addicted to cocaine. Then I got sectioned, because unfortunately my mum found me hanging from a cupboard. Belt around my neck, but not because I wanted to die, because I thought with people who've got ADHD, it's very impulsive. And she calmed me down, and paramedics come, put my chest, and the brought me around, but I didn't want to die. I just wanted to go and see my dad because I missed him. He died New Year's Day at 53-year-old. Went to hospital. Stupid thing in hospital is when I come round, I was doing army crawls around the hospital, waking patients up, going, tell us your best story, this, that and the other, tell us a joke, which was ridiculous because I was that high on medication that the hospital were giving you. They don't treat you. All they want to do is sedate you.
The doctors don't do anything, do they?
They
They offer you medication and that's it.
They sedate you because unfortunately the NHS is overrun by, I don't know how to word this properly, but the NHS is very, 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 very much overrun. They're understaffed, they're underpaid, so all they want to do is fill you full of medication. So when I left there, I was on 7 different medications. I was prescribed diazepam, temazepam, pregabalation. I was prescribed a liquid amphetamine, all of this. That sent me to doolally. I got addicted to this medication. Guess what happened again? 2 months later, I got it out. I tried the same again. I had a Levi's belt around my neck, trapped through the door. Not because I wanted to die, because I wanted to see my father. Didn't realise I was going to die. So yeah, I got sectioned under another ward, and the second time I thought, he's gone in the head. So the first time I walked into the mental health hospital, I was invited by a guy, and I know it might sound funny to a lot of viewers, but how do I wear this? I enjoyed it because I was kind of that hierarchy in there. Do you know, if you go to school, you get the low up in, and I was the hierarchy. So somebody met me at the door and said, "Oh, can you please say hello to me plants?" And I thought, not a problem. And I was praying to plants. I was praying to plants. And then the next day, 2 minutes later, he come out in a Manchester United football costume, and he went, "I own Manchester United Football Club." He said, "Could you be my scout?" And there's loads of other stories, but yeah, we got checked on so we lived in a little block. We had a clean for our own little pad. But 6 days after I was sectioned, they thought, this guy's not crazy, he was a drug addict.
So how did you overcome this?
I'll get to that point. So after 6 days, they let me out because I was training for my first professional bare knuckle debut. And what I was doing, the first time I come in, I thought, I'm going to get searched here. Bearing in mind, these people have been sectioned for 2.5 years. So I thought, I'll walk in, didn't get searched. The second time I felt sorry for these people. I strapped bottles of vodka all around my chest, didn't get searched, and I handed them out. I went, right guys, there's one in the laundry basket, there's 2 in the showers. I got the full ward absolutely mortal drunk, but I felt sorry for them. These people have had nothing. So how did I overcome it? The number one guy, well, there's quite a few people. My mum is a mental health nurse who was quite high up. She worked in Durham prison. All my family, I've got my family. If I didn't have the family I had, I would be dead now. I would be dead. My mum cut me down twice. I watch a fantastic program. It's called The Shinny Show. He's 45-year-old. He's been through exactly what I've been through, and he gives you cope mechanisms. And can I tell you something right now? And this is absolutely, this is paramount. People who are struggling right now, you need to do this. So, I was a cocaine addict for 18 years. Okay, cocaine gives you a 2.5x. Okay. Cold showers gives you a 2.5x. Yes, you might go through pain for 2 minutes, but you don't get any come down, and it costs you fuck all. If you pay 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds for a gram of cocaine, yes, you're going to get this high, but you're going to get a low, then you're going to chase it and chase it and chase it. If you go in a cold shower, and I don't mean just put the temperature on a little bit cold, put ice in it, put ice in a bath, and it's true, it gives you a 2.5x. It's exactly the same buzz. It is the cold showers are the new cocaine. That helped me. And there's a fantastic podcast called the Shinny show, that helped me. And the love of my family, the love of my mother, seeing my mother cut me down, and it'll bug me till the fucking day I die when my mum got the knife and cut me down, and that was it. And me family seen us at that low of the law, thinking I had like my business made £2.2 million.
So
and now I've got £30 in my bank. So I had all this. I was a firefighter. I've done 22 reality TV shows. I had everything, and now I've got nothing. But guess what I've got? I'm winning life because I've got happiness. I've got a smile on my face. That's how I come back.
So what made you want to become on TV from being a firefighter?
It all kind of happened through, it was a message on Instagram. I got a message, my first. So basically my background is, when I was young, I'd done a lot of dating shows, sorry. I'd done a lot of TV shows for the BBC.
Okay.
So I was an actor for the BBC. I'd done loads of kids' programmes. And then I got a message for my first reality TV show. And it was an MTV show, and it went hugely viral. And I thought, fucking hell, I'm quite good at this. Since then, I've done a show called Strip Date, and then I went on Course Trip, had sex with 4 girls in 14 days. That went massively viral because I kind of planned what I needed to do.
Because you're Britain's #1 serial cheater.
Yeah, so what happened is I've had a lot of scandals with A-listers, so I'm not going to mention the name because, bless her, she's committed suicide now.
Because she couldn't handle the fame,
She couldn't handle the fame, so yeah, the day she left out of Love Island, she didn't know who I was, I didn't know who she was. Anyway, got with her, she cheated on her ex, and we didn't know each other. Got papped, it was on the front page of OK magazine, it was on the front page of The Sun, everywhere. I didn't even know she was from Adam. So on, and then I ended up getting a contract in America. So I went to America, dealing with A-list celebrities for modelling. So I ended up dating Playboy models from Playboy models. And do you know what it is? And I thought, I do want a girlfriend like that. I do want a girlfriend in the limelight. I want a girlfriend that's got 200 followers, nobody knows. I hate all this glitz and glam. So I deleted all my social media for quite some time. I thought, I don't want a girl like that. So I thought, I want a girl that's your next door neighbour. So now I've been single for quite some time now, and I'm enjoying my life.
Do you enjoy the single life, or are you ready to settle down? Do you want to carry on being this serial cheater?
No, I don't. I want to settle down, darling. I really, really do. I'm 38-year-old now, and I do believe I've got nothing against gay people. I've got nothing against lesbians.
Been there and done that.
All I want to do is reproduce. Okay, and I'm not getting. I'm 38-year-old. I know I look about 22, but I want to reproduce. I want to find. I'm not bothered about looks anymore. I just want to find a girl that has got a good heart, who just wants to look after me and just wants to have fun.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Nadeem. Welcome to Mind Over Matter. Now today I've got a fantastic panel with me, and we're going to be discussing mental health and how it's sort of perceived today, actually, because many, many years ago, it was something that wasn't even kind of brought to the surface. So guys, what do you think then? I mean, we've really changed, times have really, really changed. And I think mental health has really kind of taken its place in today's society. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a lot less stigma about mental health today.
Yeah.
Certainly for my generation, so I was born early 80s, and my parents' generation, I feel like for somebody to say they had a mental health issue, you would really think that to be at a level where they, needed psychiatric help, or it was really a condition that people were quite scared about. Whereas now I think people accept mental health as being mind fitness, if that's even a term.
Yeah.
So the same way you talk about going to the gym, looking after your body with a balanced diet, people are focusing on their mental health, accepting clinical conditions, but as well in everyday life, just managing your well-being and stress.
Because there's also so many different forms of it. I mean, it could be something that we don't even consider to be mental health, yet it kind of ticks the box of that.
Yeah, I agree with what you were just saying, because it's people like Tyson Fury, Frank Bruno, for instance, that made it well aware that, you know, no matter who you are, you know, because people treat boxers like they're superhuman, like they don't go through certain things. But when they brought it out, it made it even more aware to people that, look at this guy. I thought this guy had everything, money, fame, and everything. Look at him, he's broken down, you know? So it's that awareness that people's got now with people like that coming out. And I believe everybody that suffers with some form of mental health, they need to talk about it and get it out, because the more you speak about it, is the more you release yourself of that mental health, because it boils up if you don't talk about things, you know what I mean?
But also people can relate to it, like in, you know, everyday sort of situation as well, like we were sort of discussing earlier, you know, being a parent as well, there's different forms of mental health just within that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even, I mean, someone that has road rage, there's certain mental health aspect, because someone that has road rage all the time, there's something wrong there. And there's some people that just snap just a little bit. And some people, so we have all different sort of mental health, because some people have got it in a big way and they need to seek help, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Because as Fiona says before, when I was young, nobody was saying like, oh, depression or stress or this is something wrong with. So now, at my age, I had to think about and to listen to my kids when they say to me, Mom, this is something like, you've been through too long stress period. Yeah. That means something is wrong. You have to work on yourself. You have to, and that's true. You controlling yourself. And you see the difference. Yeah. So
I like what you said.
Mental health is
like
very
what you said.
Do you find with your kids that it's a lot more part of their curriculum at the moment? Because I certainly find with my kids, so I've got a 4-year-old in reception, an 8-year-old in year 4, and things like mental health awareness week, well-being weeks. My 8-year-old is a neurodiversity champion in her school, and the fact that my middle child, my 6-year-old son, is autistic has really helped with her. And when we got that diagnosis, I was very mindful to make it a normality in our lives and our family. I was not going to let myself or my children feel in any way ashamed that this was something we had to hide. Yeah. And I feel like because of instilling that in them, even though we didn't understand, you know, the condition, we're still learning about it, and just the fact of making it something that it's acceptable. When we go out and my son has an autism meltdown, and it can be very severe, you know, he'll be fine 1 minute, and any parents or carers out there know it can go from 0 to 60 like that, completely out of the blue. And my daughters don't even bat an eyelid. Or if they're in a playground, a public playground, and other kids are trying to talk to him, he's still pre-verbal. When he's completely non-verbal, one of the girls would just turn around and say, oh, my brother's autistic, he's non-verbal, but his name is whatever, he's not ignoring you. And to them, just completely standard.
But Fiona, sort of going back to your point of, you know, kids at school and everything, I think there's so much pressure on them these days, and that sort of competition really is almost like installed in them, because, you know, there is a lot of competition, and it's just the standards are so high. I mean, just I've not got any kids myself, but I've got nephews, and my 6-year-old nephew is really competitive. He feels like he has to do really well at a certain level all the time. But, you know, we're all human. There are times where you can't sort of exceed to that level, and I just feel that's just so much pressure on really young kids.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I say that because certainly the experience with my son, he's already had 3 failed school placements. He's starting a new school in September, and I'm really praying this goes well. Yeah. He loved it when we went to the kind of settling in day for him. But with my daughters, they originally were in a school that seems to be quite similar to what you're saying, and I've learned through time to really match the school and the environment to the child.
Yeah.
Not just go by, this is my personal experience, not to just go by academic leagues and league tables, because their school they're in now, it's a completely different environment. They're a fantastic school, one of the top in the country, the results are all great, but the whole ethos of the place is really based on pastoral care and well-being, and it shines not just through the kids but the staff. When I drop my kids off at school, the kids and the staff are all happy and smiling, and it's the same when you collect.
Yeah, I believe that's the way it should be, because the kids are under so much pressure. You know, I have a charity for the kids now. You know, I'm setting up a centre to teach the kids like empowerment. Do you know what I mean? Life skills and empowerment that I never got at school. You know, because I think maths, English, all that is needed, but what about life skills and empowerment, so that when they go out there, they believe in themselves, you know, they believe that they're somebody, like you were saying, you know what I mean? With that school, it's like, it's a different sort of way they're treating the kids, in showing them that, be yourself, do you know what I mean? You don't have to be like someone else, do you know what I mean? Because we've all got different talents, you know, and gifts, you know. So
it's building that
like
foundation, as you say, from an early age, just so then as they are getting older, then it just kind of
the
makes
realization
it easy
that they are somebody. That's why I do believe that kids need sports.
Definitely.
Because then they start, whether it's judo or football or something, it's camaraderie. That word, camaraderie. What is? Yeah, they all together. Do you know what I mean? They're now to cope with their fellow students. Do you know what I mean?
Creative endeavours as well.
Yeah.
Not everybody's academic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just because
Yeah.
academia isn't your skill set doesn't mean you lack intelligence.
Yeah.
And there's so many careers these days that didn't even exist.
Yeah. Look at me.
That's so true.
Look at me. If you had told me I'll be this person I am today, when I was a 13-year-old, my teacher was putting me in a corner. Now I suffered mental health through that.
Yeah.
Because I actually left school. I'm not ashamed to say it. I didn't know in the 70s, I didn't know where I fitted in society. I had no belief. I thought everybody else was better than me. Do you know what I mean? And that came from school.
Yeah.
Because what we've got to check, at school, your children spend more time with the teachers than you. So it rubs off with what they're saying more than what you're saying.
It's very influential.
Yeah.
I think it's important as well just to point out that we are not criticising how things have been done, or the teachers that have, you know, really given their life and soul to educating us generations before. We're simply putting into context things that have contributed to how we are as a generation, and how perhaps we can address and improve those things for the current and future generations.
It's going back to your point as well, you know, like not taking creative subjects seriously. I mean, these days you can do a degree in Beckham, and come on, that just goes to prove how much time has changed.
How far we've
and because
come,
it's the same, like I said, when it was my time as well, oh, you're a creative person. Well, basically, you know, it's not acknowledged. You're not going to get anywhere with it unless it's academic, which, as you clearly said, it's so true. You know, everybody has their own place in society as well. Everybody's got their own skills going on, their own talent. And no matter what you are, for example, as a creative person, you can, you know, it's when you have to do something that's non-creative, it's like almost being in a straitjacket, because, you know, you're being kind of tightened of all your skills and your expression.
Yeah, that's so true, man. I love this subject because I was one that suffered with mental health growing up in that belief system, do you know what I mean? Until you have to go through certain things and grow through it and then become. But there is a easier way, do you know what I mean? By realization, like you said, do you know what I mean? Realizing in people, you know.
To realize that you need the help and you have to
people
jump
helping you, you know, along the way.
Yeah, so I can say from my life experience that my kids, especially my girls, they helped me to jump from these feelings, like to be down, because I had a situation when I had, panic attacks. I have an idea that it's panic attacks. I was thinking like I'm just getting nervous, shouting to the kids, and this kids was getting angry, and I didn't know that it's panic attacks. So they get upset for no reason. And I was like feeling very bad. So I went for the therapy. I was speaking with them, so it helps me. And my girls, they teach me how to love yourself. So basically, I learn a lot of things from my girls. One is 23 in June, and second it's 20 in July. So they are on this psychology things. The second it's studying psychology and neurology and Wales. So that's a big thing.
And it comes down to the basic thing, it's good to talk. You know, regardless of who it's with, it's good to
and
talk.
listening to your children as kids as well. Like
Yeah,
my
because
parents
they're
never
right.
want to listen to me, but you know what I mean? It's good to listen to the children, listening to people, you know what I mean?
I've definitely found as a parent, I went into it thinking, you know, so much of my role is teaching my children. I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes I feel like they are teaching me just as much, if not more, about life.
Yeah, they know so
I'm
much.
teaching them. And they
Listen
call
to
you
the
out.
kids.
Yes.
Everyone
It's
listen to the kids.
Not always,
point.
but not always, but it's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my situation, it is.
yeah.
So
Role
they-
reversal.
Yeah. So look at she's growing up. Oh, look at she's improving. So
Yeah.
my God, they're joking about me. So that's the good point. Yeah. So it's. I understood that you don't have to hide your situation, and if you need the help, you have to speak with someone because nobody is secure of this. So it's better to speak when you're feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not
I'm
to
learning
hide,
that
to wait for the last dot.
I'm learning that a lot at the moment. I'm going through a very difficult divorce. I think divorce is difficult for everybody, but especially for my 8-year-old, it affects her the most because the 4-year-old really doesn't have a concept of, and why would she, of what that really means. And then my son is pre-verbal, so that also is not affecting him the same way. The 8-year-old, I think the same for any firstborn child. They go through everything with you. She's been on this motherhood journey with me since day one. And at that age, it's very difficult for kids, maybe not for all kids, but I think as a generalization, to articulate themselves. And when they have big emotions or fears, they may not even know that is what they're feeling, and it comes out. They may not come out and say, "Oh, I'm actually feeling X, Y, and Z," but it'll be something very small, like I'll ask her to put away her school bag or something, and there'll be a very large emotional response, and I understand. Okay, this is, a possible domino effect of the current situation, and again, the school, massive support network there, outlet for her to be able to, speak to somebody and understand. And I say to her, it's okay. It's not okay for you to be rude to me. I'm still your mum. We still have, boundaries and rules. But it's okay to feel angry. This is a challenging situation. It's okay for you to feel angry. I'm going to be giving you more leeway to have these emotional responses because I understand this is difficult. And I think maybe for us growing up, that wasn't necessarily the message we were given. It was, I think the line I was given was, children should be seen and not heard.
Me too.
Yeah. Glad it's not just me.
But you got to let it out. You got to let how your feelings, I'll say to the viewers, you got to let how you feel out to somebody in a certain way. So instead of building it up, do you know what I mean? Because it builds up within you. It will come out one day, but in the wrong way. So, you got to let it out the way you feel.
It actually feels really good to talk, though. I mean, it does actually feel, once you've confided in someone or just kind of let it out of your system, it feels like a big load just taken off your chest. It might not necessarily sort of solve the situation at hand immediately, but it feels like you're kind of on the path to it. That's what I find anyway, yeah.
Definitely, it's massively cathartic.
We've all got different ways of dealing with it. So long as we deal with it,
exactly,
that's the main thing.
It's
do you know what I mean?
acknowledging.
Yeah, and sharing is caring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as well, speaking about it with the right people. I understand not everybody has the resources or even the time to seek out professional help. There are self-referral places you can go to on NHS and the website, which is a great resource. I think in a lot of workplaces as well. I did a talk recently with NHS for mental health first aiders, which is kind of like how in work, say in an office environment, you'd have the first aid or the fire, kind of person. That seems to be something now more organisations are putting in place for mental health. Because as fantastic as it is speaking to our friends and family, which we definitely should do, they may also be coming from a position of needing support themselves or, not really perhaps having the tool set to be able to, the skill set tools to be able to give you the support you need. So I think it is also important.
That's so positive. It's about time though as well, isn't it? Because you spend so much of your time at work. And if you are going through a bit of a rough patch, you know, it's quite consoling to know that there is someone there that you can sort of have a bit of a chat with and see how you can sort of come to hopefully fix it.
Yeah, it's very important to be careful what kind of people we
definitely
having around us, because if you
that has a
have
huge impact.
Someone who doesn't recognize that he has some problem and they pushing you to feel bad, that's not our problem. That's mean they are not working on their self.
That is such a great point, because some people don't even believe that there is such thing as, you know, depression. Because I've come across some people who just, you know, obviously I've been through depression, had my time and all the rest of it, but they just do not believe there is such thing as depression, or which is just absurd. I mean, like, how do you justify that? I mean, how do you speak to these kind of people?
Well, I think, in fairness, just trying to play devil's advocate a little bit, I remember myself going to standard, you know, health checkups over the years, and they, on the forms, there'd be the standard questions around depression, like, do you ever feel like this? Do you ever feel like you've lost interest in, you know, your day-to-day activities? And I was always like, nope, fine. And then through the, I think trauma is a fair word to use, my experience of my son's autism, like, you know, I gave birth to him. Everything, you know, was as you would expect. The first year of his life, hit all his milestones. And then I had to go through almost like a grieving process, because it was like after he turned 1, he just regressed and everything changed. And I think dealing with that, as well as trying to help him, had a massive impact on me. And I didn't even realise, because it's almost like having PTSD, where you're in survival mode. And it was only when he started to improve that I could actually look back and think, oh wow, and then started thinking about those forms in my head and thinking, if I had to fill that out now, I understand those questions and I can relate to those questions, because yes, I have lost interest in this. I don't really feel like doing this. And so I, you know, to answer your question about speaking to people, I don't necessarily know that they're coming from a negative place. I think maybe some people just have no experience of how depression can feel.
Well, there you have it. Some very interesting views, some very interesting questions and answers, but there'll be lots more coming from Mind Over Matters. Make sure you stay locked.
Hello and welcome to Mind Over Matter, episode 3. I'm Sophia and I've been joined by the lovely Emma. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us. Emma, you're here to tell us a little bit about your story, your condition of epilepsy.
Yeah.
Lovely. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, at first I started when I was 12 on this ride called Crazy Wave. I were on it and my dad thought that I was taking it a bit too far. But when it stopped, I was slumped down in ride, and my hair was caught in it.
Oh gosh.
Safety mechanism.
Oh gosh.
So my dad's like, blow it, safety barrier, her hair's stuck. And they were telling my dad, get off at ride. And they won't.
You weren't able to get off the ride?
No. I was still fitting in corner.
And is that how they discovered you had epilepsy?
I had a few more, but then when I was 14, I had a brain injury. And it was just literally, I went back and it made on concrete.
Oh, gosh.
And I literally went round the corner to go and pick my little sister up. And my mum still feels jealous, well, not jealous, but guilty about it, that she wasn't here to catch me.
Aww.
But I tell her not to feel.
Yeah, it wasn't her fault.
No, but she still feels like it.
I'm sure, as any mother would.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know about epilepsy, can you tell us how it affects your everyday life?
Well, you can't really be on your own all the time. You've got to take tablets for it, which there's many out there. You've got to...
Are you currently on medication?
Yeah. You've also, if there's no tablets or what's working for you, there's a VNS out there, which you'll have to have a battery put in and a cut on your neck there to put a wire in, and a battery there, and you have to have that like changed every 3 years.
I see. So you must have a really supportive family then,
Yeah,
who take a lot of care.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Because that's my dad out there.
Yeah, you mentioned your dad. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. And have you got lots of friends who support you?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So for those who are out there who have epilepsy, just like yourself, and are struggling with the condition,
Yeah.
any words of advice that you can offer them?
Just literally try and live a normal life, because it is not, you can't let it control your life. You need to live it, because I wouldn't let it beat me. So literally, just live it.
Yeah, absolutely. Has it ever affected your mental health? Has you ever felt like it's really
Yeah.
impacted your mental health?
Yeah, it has. Because it's depression. I have got depression as well. Because I couldn't get out. I couldn't. Because I've got a thing called FND as well. I have shakes, as you can see. So I'm trying to hold it steady.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
I also have blackouts. So I can't go anywhere on my own. So it's like, I black out on bus. I've had fits on bus. It's embarrassing, but don't be embarrassed about it.
Absolutely. It's a condition.
It's a condition.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
And the more you speak about it, the more our viewers be aware of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Any other kind of tips and advice, especially when you're dealing with your depression? There'll be people out there watching also dealing with depression.
Yeah.
Any other ways through that kind of darkness and that you've been able to manage?
Get out. Because what I do is I've got a hobby and I take photos.
Brilliant.
And get a hobby. Just do something that you would set your mind to.
Absolutely. So you're a keen photographer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And how long have you been doing that for now?
Not long, but I've also done a photo, put it on a canvas, and I've put it on a raffle for local food bank.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's down at a local Montgomery Hall in where I live, and I've put it on a raffle for whoever wins it. And where it does is gonna go to a food bank.
That's really kind of you.
Yeah.
That's really kind. What kind of photography did you enjoy doing? People or places?
Sunset.
Yes.
So people love it when they put them on.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Like them all the time on Facebook.
That's brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Go out there and get a hobby. Well done you. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us and see you in episode 4.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Mind Over Matter episode 3. We're here today with our special guest, Morris the Connector. Hello.
Hi everyone.
And we're here to basically interview him about his story and what he's been through and to share any coping mechanisms he has. And yeah, let's bring it on. So, Morris, thank you for coming onto the show.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
So I just wanted to know about what you do and any story that you have, because I can imagine. So if you could tell me what's happened in your life and what has brought you here now as a connector, basically.
Yeah, my name, Morris the Connector, stems from my journey. I don't want to say to every one of you, my story was gory, but now it's my glory. I believe every one of us are kings and queens, and when we're born, we're dying, and we have to fight to find ourselves. So my story, I'm going to tell you a bit about my story, where I come from. I grew up with my mum and 5 siblings, You know, my dad left home when I was 7 years old, and I really did struggle with that. But
yes.
going fast forward to that, I was going to school, I was getting bullied at school, you know, at the age of 13. And it wasn't from the kids, it was from the teachers. The teachers was bullying me at school, putting me in a corner, telling me I wouldn't be nothing in life. You know, what a thing to say to a young man at that time.
A teacher as well.
Yeah, was telling me that.
And so is that how it started, from basically your childhood?
Yes, yes.
And I think as you grew older, I think you said something like, did you say your mum passing away, or?
Yeah, I'll get to that now. I'll just skip through my
Sorry.
story for you
Yes.
quickly, right? Well, leaving school at the age of 15, 16, struggling, not knowing myself. I didn't know where I fitted in society because I had no confidence, no belief. You know, I did try and get a job, but I struggled. You know, my friends was coming with nice things like jewellery and cars and, you know, buying nice things, and I found out what they were doing, and I joined in with what they were doing, and they were selling drugs. So I started to sell drugs, you know. That made me feel a lot better by having money, you know. They say money is the root of all evil.
They say that.
Yeah, but it's the love. And I fell in love with the money, you know, making money, going through that. But doing that for 12 years, after 12 years of doing that and going in to jail and things like that, you know, I came out doing the same thing, but it was the death of this may trigger the death of my 18-month-old son called Dwayne. He passed away tragically at home, and that made me really look up. When I look back now, it was a mindset reset because I started to go to church. My mum always used to say, "Mum, always come to church." I used to say to her, "I ain't got enough time, Mum," you know, because I was out there partying and that. But I started to go to church, you know, and I started to see the light, started to see things different. And I believe every one of us have to do something different to become different. And I started to work. And within 8 years, you know, I worked myself up the ladder until I was able to start my own business. You know, I would say to everyone that's listening that you are the pen and paper of your story. Your story can be gory, but it can be your glory. You know, I went through the darkness, but in our darkest hours, we need to focus on the light because you are the light, you know, and I focused on the light totally. And I set up my company, like a chauffeur company. That chauffeur company now drives Justin Bieber, Beyonce.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
I've done
amazing.
Whitney Houston's tour in 2010. I've done that. It was amazing because I was coming from zero to becoming...
To where you are now.
Yeah, so after that, you know, adversity is going to happen. I would say adversity introduces a man to himself. It introduced me to myself when my son passed away. It made me see the light, you know, and I would say now that God was chipping away at me to become who I have become now, you know, but I had to go through a lot of pain. Like, we're all going to go through pain, you know, and sometimes we have to sit down and really take time out and think about what we're doing. Because in 2007, I lost my mum. In 2010, I lost my dad. And in 2015, I lost my
You have
girlfriend.
been through a lot.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
In 2018, I lost another son. And I also lost my sister as well, you know. So going through all that pain has brought me to the place where I used to say, why me, Anastasia? I used to say,
People
why
say,
me?
why me, don't they?
Yeah.
But, I mean, is it true that God picks us and he chooses us because he wants us to go through that?
I believe that we get moulded all different ways. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when God's moulding you, he says, walk this way once you start to believe. Because like I said, I used to say, why me? Now I say, try me. The reason why I say try me is because I believe in me now. And that's where I'm always to connect to come from. Because I'm now connected to myself. I'm connected in believing in myself, in knowing, you know, knowing my why and knowing my must. Know why it had to be me and know what I must do with what I've got now, in my belief that I can achieve anything so long as I put my mind to it.
It's true. And so you feel like what you've been through is what wanted you to do what you're doing now. That has kind of encouraged you, or have you always had this goal, like ambition to be what you?
What it is, it's going through all the pain and going through the journey of life. I believe life is happening for us, not to us. So I believe there's a message in the mess. So I took the message out of the mess, and I believe that what we have to do, we have to go through experience. It's like when I go to the gym, I go to the gym to build muscle. Life is building muscle. No pain, no gain, they say. So I've gained through my journey, through that pain. It's not about the pain anymore, it's who I've become through the pain to empower. I believe I have some power now with my story, to my glory, to empower people so that people can step up and see that there's no difference between me and no one. I believe we're kings and queens, and when we're born to lead. Leaders
we're
are
all
made.
Human.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. And like, what advice do you give out there to people? Like, if you had to share a message, what would you say out there? People who suffer from depression, you know, mental health. Like, how would you help them? You know?
Yeah, I would say where the focus goes, the mind goes and flows. And my focus, especially when my common law wife was together for 35 years, you know, when she passed away, I wanted to end it as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's focusing on just that. But I found other things to focus on to take me away from that. You know what I mean? So I believe, you know, depression is thinking of the same thing all the time. And when we think of that same thing all the time, you know, the fault becomes us. You know, we bring things to life. So I would bring some of the past to life. You know, our relationship, what happened, I was blaming myself. Do you know what I mean? So that was coming to life. If I think of yesterday, you know, I could bring what I'd done yesterday to life, you know. But what I say is, yesterday was history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today's a gift to all of us, because that's why they call it the present. We have to think of the now. Am I happy now? I'm happy now. So we have to think of moving on. And I know a lot of people, when they suffer depression because of a death or something like that, it's hard. Do you know what I mean? But we have to find people to be around that can elevate us and speak to us. So I would say speak to people that can encourage you. You know, don't stay at home in the darkness on your own like I was.
A lot of people don't like to share what they're going through, though, don't they?
That's right.
They keep it bottled in.
Right. But we need to be able to get it out.
Yes.
That truth is what sets us free. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. And so your name, The Connector, so you don't classify yourself as a motivational speaker. You classify yourself as The Connector. So what's the meaning behind the word, basically?
Yeah, the meaning behind the word is motivation, and there's a lot of motivational speakers out there, they pump you up. But I'm here to inspire, so I'm an inspirational speaker, because the connector comes from inner, connecting to myself. So I'm connected to myself, I believe in myself, I know what I need to do. Like I said earlier, I know my why and I know my must. I know why it had to be me, I know why I had to go through all the pain. Because that pain has been my gain now, because I go to schools now, I'm saving the kids and showing them that in every follower there's a leader. I'm telling them about my fixed mindset, thinking I couldn't be nothing, dealing in drugs. I'm telling them that I was a fixed mindset, but a growth mindset is someone that believes that they can become anything that they put their mind to it. It's just a habit. We live in a habitual world. So what we think about, that's what we become.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
It's all about what we think about, isn't it? It's we are our thoughts.
Yeah.
Or
thoughts become things. Thoughts become things.
Yes, yeah. And it takes practice to kind of train your mind, doesn't it? Like, it's easier said than done.
Yeah. It's just a habit.
How can we train our minds?
Well, it's like drinking and smoking. It's what we're doing and who we're being. Do you know what I mean? So it's
I
what
see
we're
what
doing.
you mean.
Yeah, what was I doing? I was selling drugs. I was going to end up in jails. What we've got to realise is whatever we do, there's an outcome for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's an outcome for everything. There's an outcome with what I'm doing today. There's an outcome with what you're doing today. there's an outcome if I went out there and I wanted to hit someone. Do you know what I mean? The outcome would be maybe the police will arrest me for doing something so horrible. Do you know what I mean? So there's an outcome for every thought. We have to think about it. Our minds are powerful. So it's about the mindset of everything. I mean, what I go back to in my story is believing. It's not seeing is believing, it's believing is seeing. Because when you believe in yourself, then you start doing things that other people ain't doing. I know what you mean. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And what books do you recommend? Because I do like reading, and like...
Think and Go Rich. That was
yes.
one of the books I read.
Napoleon Hill?
By Napoleon Hill. Think
yes.
and Go Rich. The Power of Positive Thinking.
Okay.
Is another one that I've read. And I'm on YouTube listening to the Les Browns and
yes.
things like that. Once I found my gift, I found my purpose, which is to serve. Like, this is a famous quote from Muhammad Ali. He said, "The service to others is the rent we pay for being in this world." And I thank God that I'm paying my rent now because I'm a man of service in lifting people up in my story. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I tell my story.
So it's all about service.
Yeah, to others. Once you've found a love within yourself, like Morris the Connector has found himself. I have so much love now, my cup's overflowing, so I can give now. And once you become that person with love, you start to elevate, because with love there's no hate. We speculate, we relate, we associate, then we collaborate.
Yes.
That's the highest frequency, because then you're willing to serve now. You get great joy in serving and happiness from serving, which is helping people become who they're meant to become in this world.
Because it comes from within.
With the heart, yeah.
Yes.
From your heart, yes.
Okay, that was amazing, really. And is there anything else that you want to speak about or share? Or?
Yeah, I want to speak about the youths, you know. I'm an advocate for the youths. I go to schools now telling my story. You know, like I said, it used to be gory, but I go to the schools and I show the children that they too can become who they are meant to become. Because if I had someone telling me that I could have been this person I am today, which is an inspirational speaker, a life coach. You know, I have a charity for the youths in Africa and England. I also have a chauffeur company that drives some of the biggest pop stars in the world. If you had told me I was going to be this person today, I would have said, get out my face, because I couldn't even get a job. You know, so I believe every one of you that's listening today can become who you're meant to become by taking time out and thinking about what you really want to do. They say vision is your direction. Then you find your mission, and then your destiny comes through that. So we have to think about what do we really want to do with our life? Where do we want to be in 2 to 3 years? Because I believe if you find something you like and you love, that will become you and that will become your purpose. If you don't like it, you can change it. Change happens, progress doesn't. So we have to take time out to make progress, to become the mostest. That's what I would say. Every one of us will suffer pain, but we need to be able to overcome that with the mindset by just having nice people around you. If you have people around you that are bringing you down, get rid of them. Toxic people, right? Have people, if you're the smartest in your group, find a new group, because we need to elevate so we can speculate. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was Morris the Connector, and we are here for the next interview, Nadeem and Jane Scafe, who will be talking about ADHD. Thank you very much, and do stay tuned.
Hey, how you doing? This is Nadeem on Mind Over Matters, episode 3, and today I have a lovely guest. It's Jane Scafe, who's going to be talking to me about ADHD. So, first of all, Jane, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Excellent, that's lovely to have you. So, can you tell me sort of how it sort of started off, how you sort of acknowledged that you did have ADHD?
Yeah, so maybe 3 years ago, I would think to myself, oh, I feel sleepy, I have brain fog, I don't think I can do things as easily as other people. So I would go to the doctors and ask for blood tests, but they would just come back normal. And I heard an episode of Women's Hour on Radio 4.
Right.
And a lady was saying how she had been diagnosed really recently, a middle-aged lady, because her son had been, and she would struggle with things like losing her keys, like losing her phone. And I was like, yeah, I do that. I forget my glasses. She was saying she couldn't get her life admin done, and I find it really hard to do kind of boring forms.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh gosh, this is me. And,
So you could really connect.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh gosh, I think this could really explain it. So that got me down the path of, working out if I had it.
So in terms of, going back to your doctor and GP, you said that results came out clear, but did they not sort of give any suggestions as to what it could be possibly? Was it sort of left to you to kind of deal with it?
Oh, I mean, when I had like blood tests
Yeah.
and other things. Yeah, it's I had to really do my own kind of fighting, I guess, and research and keep going back to the GP. And I think that's an important point. If your GP kind of maybe you feel that you've been fobbed off or you're not getting answers, you can even switch GPs or
Yeah, well, it's
even
happening quite a lot,
surgeries.
isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly.
And did you sort of make any notes in your diaries as to what was happening, when it was happening, just to sort of see how it was progressing?
Yeah, that is something that you can do. And the GP gave me some forms to fill in about ADHD, which, it's tricky to do those forms. But once I had, and then I went through the forms with her, like the questionnaire, then, she was happy to refer me on to a specialist centre to get an assessment.
So, actually realising that you have ADHD, then how does that sort of play into your life? How do you obviously it's there, so it's how do you sort of work around that?
Yeah, good question. So luckily, I was assessed and diagnosed through something called Right to Choose, which you can kind of Google and find out more about. But I was given medication, which is, when I need it, that's a good kind of jump start for my brain. But there's things like if I do exercise in the morning, that helps me to manage certain symptoms. The sort of tips and tricks that you can learn from other people that experience ADHD just to kind of get by. But like I say, things like keeping tidy in the house, I have to maybe give myself different rewards to get things done. Yeah, things
Excellent.
like that.
So in terms of dietary things, is there anything that you could eat which sort of helps balances things and your moods and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so having a high protein breakfast can really work.
Yeah.
There's research saying that taking high quality fish oils can really help as
Right.
well. So I've been trying things like that and maybe some natural remedies. And I got to speak to a nutritionist through my work, which is really good. But now that I know I have ADHD, I can keep doing all this research to try and help myself more and more.
That's excellent. But when you first realised that you did have it, then what was your instinct feeling? How did it make you feel?
Yeah, when I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed. I had an hour appointment with a psychiatrist, which wasn't too scary, but it was really quick. And I often think about when I was diagnosed. It's like something that kind of replays in my mind, but it was relief. I think that it explained why maybe in my life I've struggled with, exams, things like that.
Yeah, sort of answered a lot of questions, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. And then it gave me some confidence to now be able to research how I can, manage my struggles, and it gives me confidence that to stand up for myself as well. Maybe at work or anytime. I need some help because I have ADHD.
So at work, are they quite sort of forthcoming when it comes to your ADHD? Because these days, as well, with mental health and all types of illnesses, I think the work environment is a bit more sort of understanding.
Yeah, I think employers are getting better at managing kind of equality, diversity, inclusion matters, but a lot can do better. So
in what way do you think they could sort of help better things?
Yeah, so I've been able to get some noise cancelling headphones through my employer, but a lot of employers, they might not know about the kind of reasonable adjustments that do help people. So you've got to maybe do your own research and then ask for specific things. I think it would be great if employers can start to more do their research or, get input from their employees already and then just give you loads of help because you're the one that's really struggling.
Yeah. And have you found with your employees they have been quite forthcoming in terms of helping you everywhere they can?
They're doing pretty well. We have an EDI, kind of a diversity group, and I think together we put forward changes that the company can make, and it's in companies' interests as well to make those changes because they will keep attracting talent to the company and even better clients, because they can sort of tell the clients how much they look after their employees. So,
and that is so important, really, isn't it? You
Yeah.
spend so much of your time at work. It's kind of nice to know that you're in safe hands, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So is there any tips that you could give to anyone who thinks that they may be ADHD or they're kind of veering off into that direction?
Yeah, I think there's a great website. It's adhduk.co.uk, and they have a screening tool on there, so you can do your own quiz at home to work out if you may have it. And
That's quite an interesting way of dealing with it, actually.
Yeah, because the symptoms are similar to other things like maybe thyroid conditions.
Yeah.
So maybe do a screener, a little survey yourself. And then that website as well has tips on how you can approach your GP and even skip the NHS waiting times. And that site has also some links to support groups on WhatsApp, and they have video chats as well every week. I think a great source of support for me has been finding communities like me.
That's what I was going to mention, actually, because there's loads of meetups and groups and things like that. Because then that way you can sort of, people have got a bit more sort of empathy on your situation and they kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. If you go on Facebook and just search kind of ADHD, your city, your area. Yeah, so that's probably the number one tip as well.
Fantastic, Jane. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us here at Mind Over Matters. Well, there you have it, some fantastic tips for you there. If you think that you do have ADHD, we will definitely leave you the website details, so make sure you stay locked.
Good afternoon, it's Anastasia. Welcome to Mind Over Matter episode 3. We're here to interview our special guest, Natasha Charlotte Rose, British disabled screen actress. Welcome, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So, if you could tell us your story on mental health, what you're going through, what you have been through, and how you overcame it.
So basically, I am a learning disabled screen actress, and I have fetal alcohol syndrome spectrum disorder, ADHD, autism, Asperger's, deafness, but I can lip read, I can hear through hearing aids. I have Tourette's, tremors, hip and leg dysplasia where my bones are deformed and not in the correct places. I also have global development delays, speech impediment delays, sensory disorder, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, anxiety, and...
So, what made you want to get into acting?
So acting, what made me get into acting is because it helps me in the long run and being in other character shows. So it pretty much helps me in mental health type thing as well, because it takes your mind off your health and stuff and be in other people's shoes and feel what they are feeling. I have been acting since a young age and did musical theatre, dance, as well as screen acting. So I put all my emotions and my mental health into the character shoes and bring the characters to life. That's how I cope with my mental health and my learning disabilities and stuff. But I don't let it interfere with my acting career.
Yeah, at least that's very good that, the conditions that you have, you don't let it affect your career. And that's very inspirational to some people.
Yeah, I get asked quite a lot, do you let your learning disabilities and your mental health get in the way of my acting career? And I don't. I keep it to professional standards and always in the character shoes on set. And people out there, some casting directors, not all, always look at me and think, just because I'm learning disabled, and say that you do not have the capacity for the roles. And it does hurt me because they're not giving me the chance to prove that I can do it. But I do have one featured film, which is Teddy and the Mountains as the role of Fever.
That's great.
So I've got that coming up. Filming's already started for it. So it's just waiting for me to be called up closer to the time.
Yes, and So, what are your coping mechanisms? Like, how do you cope with all this?
So basically, people ask me like questions, how can you read a script with dyslexia? So I read it with blue overlay and blue paper, or I voice record the lines and listen to it back, so it helps it sink into my head a lot quicker.
So do you sing as well? I believe you do singing on the side.
I do sing professional singing on the side of things.
Okay.
It's because it's part of the acting industry as well, where you've got to have like so many dancers and qualifications for dance, singing, as well as acting. So it helps you out a long run. So I do have SoundCloud. I do like singing videos every now and again on Instagram page, and I do have Star Maker where I do my own songs and produce on there as well.
Okay, that's amazing. But obviously you prefer acting.
Yeah, I prefer acting than singing and dancing. I think acting's my expertise because they are lovely people on set who helps me through a lot when I work with them. And they don't discriminate other actors like me, so it's actually okay. But I do get some discrimination from casting directors sometimes, not all casting, but I just let it through one ear out of the other. So
yes. Okay, and do you have a website or any social media channel where people can access your page and see the acting that you have done?
Yeah, there's some acting pieces on Instagram, which is Natasha Charlotte Rose. I've got 2 accounts. One is a spare account for a backup, which I don't hardly post on there yet. Mm-hmm. And the other one is the one that I'm using the most at the moment. So they can feel free to follow them. I'm also on Facebook, so if anyone wants to follow on there, they can.
And I was going to ask, so you want to be a professional actress when you're older? Is that your goal?
Well, my goal is reaching and working in Germany and Greece in the acting industry. Okay. So I'm learning like loads of languages, not just German and Spanish. I'm learning Greek as well.
I'm from Greece, yes.
So I'm learning that on one of the learning apps that I've downloaded.
And you do speak a few languages, don't you?
Yeah, I speak German, Spanish.
That's amazing.
Lithuanian.
Wow. You're very talented. And it's good that you don't let it stop you.
No, don't let it stop me. I mean, sometimes with my speech delays and stuff, like singing with fast music, I do end up stumbling over my own words because at fast pace, which is why I do like small, like really slow songs. Mm-hmm. But as you could see by the video I posted from 2015 with that solo Don't Forget Me Smash, I've had quite a lot of feedback from that video saying that's just brilliant, you were so young, you've got the talent, and that I had a few saying apply for X Factor and stuff like that because that song just blew everyone's mind when I posted it.
Yeah.
So
what personal message you want to share to the world? Any message that people can relate to what you've been through?
So obviously my personal message would be always think positive, not negative. Never give up your hopes on your dreams and goals to succeed further on in life. And if you're feeling down, speak to someone about it. just never give up
Never neglect it.
and
It's what
never
you're going
neglect
through.
it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That was Natasha Charlotte Rose. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that is episode 3 of Mind Over Matter. Our next guest is Ben Lukcraft with presenter Claire Commons. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Claire Commons, and today I'll be interviewing Ben Lukcraft. Ben's going to chat to us about his addiction and how that affected his life. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I was once a businessman. I had a bar that I owned. I had a very successful security company. I had a great family. I had a beautiful woman in my life, 2 stepchildren, along with a daughter that I had with that woman. And I let my, negative side get the better of me. I made some terrible mistakes, bad choices in my life, and chose to go down the route of alcohol and drugs and violence rather than, face my own insecurities and my own problems.
So I want to come to your addictions, but what caused you to go off the rails? What was the catalyst?
So what caused me, I'd say, to go off the rails the most would be to do with the fact that, my business started to fail. COVID was a massive factor in that. It cost me a lot of clients, a lot of money, and rather than, facing my problems, I just went, you know what, let's escape reality. Let's go into another world. And I found that, that another world in drugs and alcohol.
And what business did you have?
So I had my own security company.
And so what was it, the environment and work that also caused you to go downhill?
Yeah,
Or-
so I've always been that kind of person that just overworks myself. I always overwork. And overworking for a business that's failing really sends someone over the edge. Especially I feel like as a man, I've got a sense of myself to want to provide for the woman in my life, give her a better life. So I kind of overworked myself and put myself in a vulnerable position.
Okay, so let's talk about your addiction. So where did you go to? What were your vices?
Yeah, so I've never been one of those to take pills and stuff like that. My addiction was a lot of alcohol and a lot of cocaine. So I started, consuming probably about £1,000 a week's worth of cocaine.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot.
How many grams is that?
So yeah, gram wise, it worked out. I bought an ounce for £1,000. So what's that? I don't even know. I was too high. I was too high to count.
Obviously the alcohol goes hand in hand with that, right?
Yeah. So obviously, the more that I sniffed cocaine, the more alcohol that I consumed. Because when you sniff cocaine, you find it harder to get drunk on alcohol. So my consumption of alcohol doubled, if not tripled.
And so, it's interesting with addictions because the more you do it, obviously the more you get addicted, but also the more you can do because your body becomes resilient to it.
Exactly.
So for some people listening, some of the viewers listening may think that is a lot.
Yeah.
But actually your body gets used to it and you are able to do a lot more.
No, exactly. Because obviously I didn't start off, sniffing £1,000 a week. It'd be like, a couple £100 on a weekend, and then that couple £100 a weekend led up to a 500 in a weekend, then that 500 a weekend led to 1,000 a week.
So interesting. So you're telling me, your business was failing, but now you're spending money on drugs.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So that's what happened. Every bit of profit that I was making was going on the drugs rather than, actually trying to resolve the issues with my business, because I was scared of failing that I thought I'm going to fail anyway. So I might as well go out with a bang, which was a stupid mindset to have.
Yeah, but I guess when you're in that space, there isn't really much reasoning. It's you're just going down a dark spiral, right?
Yeah, exactly. You feel like there's no way out, so you just think just do whatever. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same outcome, so at least you enjoy yourself.
But that's for you. That's not considering anybody else around you.
No,
so
exactly,
obviously that affected many people around you. So talk to me about that and how that ricochet was.
So the ricochet was absolutely astronomical. It affected my partner in my life. It affected the kids. It affected my house. We had a house together. We had bills to pay, and like you said, I wasn't thinking of the repercussions on them. I was only thinking about myself, which was a very selfish thing to do.
What drug addicts do, though.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's very true. So I kind of ruined them around me. I lost the relationship that I had. I lost the the bond that I had with them children, and all that done was drove me to do even more stuff. So it was just a constant knock effect of dominoes. No matter what negative mistake I did, led to other bigger mistakes. And rather than actually sit there and blame myself, which was the person to blame, I was blaming everyone around me.
Yeah, it's easier to look outward than inward, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what did you do to overcome that? Did you go to the clinic? Did you get help? What did you do?
No, so what I did to overcome that, to be honest with you, I started with, I went, you know, F the world, I'll do what I want to do. I chose violence, I hurt a lot of people, I went to prison.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
so talk to me about that. So what happened?
Yeah, so my first prison sentence, I was 19 years old and I went to Pentonville. That was to, you know, to do with violence. And then I've recently not long got out of Chelmsford prison, again, due to violence.
And what type of violence?
Grievous bodily harm.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
And was these situations that that you caused or that you got yourself involved in?
I'd say I caused them.
You caused them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And that, you know, that's a lot of people do that because they're in pain and they just don't care about anybody and they're just
exactly.
angry and they don't know where to channel that anger.
Exactly. Yeah.
So okay, so you went to prison and then did you still get some support there or have you had any support?
The first time that I went there, I chose to, you know, I don't need their help. I can do it on my own.
Most people say that.
Yeah, and then I look at it in a positive way that the second time that I went to prison, I utilised that time very well. I you know, suck out the support that I needed to do. I looked for what I needed to have, and I was able to find the help that I needed to do, and I set myself on the right track so that when I come out, I went back to work. I went back to trying to resolve the relationship with, you know, my family, and everything's kind of gone positive from there. But I think those that are struggling, you have to reach out. You cannot do this alone. It's a fight that you're never going to win, no matter how strong you are. It's a losing battle.
I have to agree with you. Now, there's so much support out there, and you know, I say this over and over again to people that, you know, don't do it on your own. You are not alone. You are feeling something, and you're not the only one in this world that's feeling that. Trust me, you're not alone,
no,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly.
So even if it's like reach out to a friend or to a helpline or something, do it.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, and I know for myself being like a man kind of thing, it's emasculating. You feel weak and vulnerable. Going to someone you know personally, there is loads of help out there that is anonymous. You can contact them absolutely anonymously. You don't have to give no names, no details, none of that stuff. So you can speak to them and feel like you're still safe and you haven't lost your kind of like self-respect.
You say, interesting, you said it's a man thing, but I had to ask for help. And do you know how hard that was for me to ask for help? I also felt, I felt weak.
Feel vulnerable.
And I felt that I was a failure. But actually, I was the strongest. And when you go and ask for help, you are actually the strongest one saying, hey, and you're sticking your hand up because most people wouldn't do that. No. So that gives you bravery, right?
It takes a really, really strong-minded person to admit that they need help and admit that they're wrong. Everyone can pass the blame, pass the buck. But for someone to sit there and go, hey, I messed up, this is on me, let me fix this now.
Own your shit, basically.
That's the bigger person. Someone that does that, I absolutely take my hat off to them and I praise them.
Yeah. And so where are you now, Ben? Where's Ben now?
So so Ben now is you know, I'm seeing my daughter and stuff like that, which is nice. And I'm working pretty much 24/7, which is great. I'm working my absolute backside off to try and, you know, build a better life, try and, you know, stack my money. I'm pursuing a bit more of different career options, and eventually I will come back bigger and stronger with a new company, and I will absolutely ruin everything.
I'd like to hear that. So what would be your takeaway to our viewers then, given your story, if they're going through something similar that you've been through, or they can resonate at some points of your story, what would be your takeaway that you could give to them?
My takeaway would probably be that, you know, everyone goes through a bit of a crap time in their life. It's natural. Life is not meant to be easy. Life is not meant to be simple. And life comes with heartbreaks. It comes with pain. It comes with tear. It comes with violence. This is normal. But what you need to do is think of others around you, but also don't be scared to reach out for help. Everyone needs help, whether you see it or not. And sometimes it's the happiest of people need the most help.
That's all for episode 3. I hope you enjoyed the show. Special thank you to our guests for sharing their stories. I hope their stories have helped and inspired you. Also, thank you to our wonderful co-hosts on the show. If you are struggling or know anyone with any mental issues and need to talk to someone, please contact the Mental Health Contact Line. The number is at the bottom of the screen. Please do share and follow Mind Over Matter on our social media platforms to help raise more awareness. That's all from me, Claire Commons, and the Mind Over Matter team. Have a fantastic week. Be kind to each other. Bye for now.
Following on from the last interview, thank you very much. I have Tanya with me for episode 3 to speak about Harrison. Hi Tanya, how are you?
Hello lovely, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
So tell me your story then, what are you doing here today?
I lost my son Harrison J, October 21, from a very rare cancer called nut carcinoma. And he had TikTok before I did. He started his page before I did.
Yeah.
And when he got diagnosed with the nut carcinoma diagnosis, he wanted to reach out to people and raise awareness for nut carcinoma.
Wow.
And anti-bullying, because he got bullied at school. And he wanted to make Harrison's
people
Army,
aware about it.
make awareness for it, and be the biggest thing on TikTok, the biggest army. And I think he's done it.
He's succeeded.
He's
We've
definitely
seen the
done
videos.
It. Yes, definitely done it.
Wow. And how are you like coping with all this? Obviously, it's an absolute tragedy. And seeing the videos and hearing about Harrison, he seemed like a really strong boy, from what I've seen.
Very, very strong, inspirational. He was 13, but like he's been here before.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
He loved Only Fools and Horses, and he got the humour.
Yeah. And that's for older people as well.
Exactly. And he showed that, you know, he, no matter what stood in his way,
Mm-hmm.
he lost the ability to walk through the tumour suppressing his spinal cord.
Mm.
He then looked at what he could do, not what he couldn't do.
Yeah.
And he created Harrison's Army, which is absolutely massive on TikTok. He's got a whole page documenting his journey, practically every step of the way.
Wow.
And I'm trying the best I can to carry it on.
Continue that and raise awareness for the cancer. And what was the cancer that you said to even raise more awareness about it now?
Nut carcinoma.
Nut carcinoma.
Yeah, it's very, very rare. It was only found in 2010, so there's not a lot of literature written about this nut carcinoma.
Mm-hmm.
Even a sarcoma specialist that we had in London had to look into it because she'd never heard of it.
Oh my goodness.
So it started off in his lung. We went into hospital because I thought he had a viral bug.
Yeah.
Then his back started to hurt. We had kidney disease from birth.
Okay.
So that's why I've taken him into hospital originally, and then when they've seen it on an X-ray, his whole left lung was a tumour. So it was sarcomas originally diagnosed, but when his biopsy's gone all over Europe, come back and it's nut carcinoma, which is again really rare. There's only one clinic in the world that researches it.
Oh my word. And then that's why this TikTok's actually helping and more people are aware
More
about
people
it.
are aware of it. We're raising money, we're raising awareness, doing all sorts of things. I do merch now for Harrison's Army.
Oh, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
It looks like an HA. I was like, that's Harrison's Army.
Harrison's Army.
Oh, I like the blue glitter as well. Stands out.
This is evolved like 2 or 3 times now. So when it very first happened, it was a gold ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a blue heart with text around there, Harrison's Army Against Cancer and Bullying. Then I've done this one. This is my own design. And then obviously on the back I've got his date of birth to his passing date, Harrison's Army and Against Cancer and Bullying on the back.
Quite a nice gesture as well, because you know what I mean. Nice T-shirt, and then you'll bump into someone, ask about. Oh, it's your uniform. Okay,
it's our uniform. We're an army, so this is our uniform.
Wow, and we should all be joining the army.
100%.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, on his hashtag alone, what I think last time we had 175 million views.
Wow. Oh my goodness, it's inspirational. And I think from what you're saying, obviously he was so young at 13, and to be that strong and even make videos about it instead of just actually not wanting to speak about it or anything.
I mean, as a mother, I think losing a child is the most horrific thing. Losing a child. Sorry.
Oh no, that's all right. I'm sorry.
But in
just take a minute.
But in the circumstances, losing a child to cancer and having to watch it, you know, from the start.
From the start.
Till the inevitable, because we knew it was going to happen. They said, you know, we don't think he's going to live till Christmas. But nothing, sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine.
That's
just what this is about.
Nothing can prepare you as a mother to have your child taken.
And also you were saying that he was, in a good way, that he was naive to it. So that's why, again, he was so strong and he's raised so much awareness about it and helping other people who are struggling or going through the same thing.
Sorry.
No, don't, because you'll set me off. I've already been set off.
But I praise not God, because I don't believe in God because they wouldn't take my child.
No,
but
yeah.
I'm glad I had him
from when, yeah.
I had him for 13 years, but his little brother Henley will have to carry this on after I've been here, done what I can, and go. It'll be him that'll take over.
And he's, as people say, they're in a better place now. He's been strong, done what he can, and then, gosh, wow, well.
I wouldn't wish child loss on anybody.
No.
Not my worst enemy. It's a pain.
It's not something that should happen. Like, it should be the parent. You know what I mean? A parent should never see someone go through that. And even coming in today and speaking about it, I think it's very strong of you, and it's good that we're raising more awareness about the Harrison's Army.
Harrison's Army. That's the one. Thank you, darling. That's so sweet of you. But yeah, I've just got to do what he set out to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I knew I was going to have to do the next chapter and finish his journey.
And from seeing the videos, he was so strong. He probably doesn't want you to grieve and wants you to, keep it ongoing. And if this happens to someone else, then help them and tell their story.
Yeah, I'm in the process of sending off his medical records off to Boston as well, so they can learn from how his cancer developed from the CT imaging and the MRIs and his blood work and the chemo and everything like that. So they can literally, hopefully his records will contribute to a cure, because there's no cure for it.
And help someone else. I think the thing with cancer is it's so well known, but actually there's so many parts of it that you have no idea about, and then you hear it and you're like, oh, it's cancer, it's fine, but actually it's not.
It's not. When they didn't know what type of cancer it was undifferentiated sarcoma, and that's the diagnosis that we had in April, and then by the time his biopsy come back, it was nut carcinoma, and they said, we're in fear of his life, we don't think he's going to last till Christmas. And I got that in a letter.
In a letter?
After it was sort of discussed, I had it in a letter and actually reading it in black and white, saying that his life was being threatened by this cancer because of the aggression of it. Because they said it will eventually become drug resistant.
Yeah.
And when it stopped working...
And it will fight against the drug, so it wouldn't...
Yeah. When it stopped working, he was having lumps come up in his skull. I could feel them, I could see them. When we got to the hospice, they said he'd only live another 48 hours, and he hung out for 13 days.
Oh my word.
13 days. And all you want to do as mum was feed him or give him drink.
Yeah, and just keep him there.
And they said, no, Tanya, his body's shutting down. His body's not wanting food. So he went 13 days without eating.
And how was he
by the time we got to the hospice,
did he know? I guess because you were.
My mum thinks he does know, but I don't know. But the 13 days was horrific.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I just wanted to feed him
and nurture him. That's what a mum does, isn't it? A mum nurtures.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even do that.
I was with him because he coughed. He coughed, and I turned around and went, "You all right, boy?" It was at 6:30 in the morning, and I was waiting for him to go.
And that was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's what really haunts me.
Yeah. Well, but you were there, do you know what I mean? And obviously you were saying about the hospice and everything that happened that you couldn't be in your house, but maybe that was nicer, so a peaceful place, somewhere that you won't be going back
amazing
to,
there.
It's not somewhere that will haunt you. You can go there, remember the moment, instead of it being, at your house or somewhere.
Yeah, it was... They were amazing. I mean, a load of TikTokers got together and raised £12,500 for them.
Wow.
And literally we gifted it to them in December 2021. That was gifted to them. Just go to that hospice so they can... And then I've been there and I've given Christmas gifts and at the hospital giving Christmas gifts in the name of Harrison.
Gosh, I think it's amazing what you're doing, because I think these things can happen and then you just feel so empty that you don't even want to think about it or do anything with it. But raising this awareness actually will help someone else, and hopefully in the future this cancer will be cured or
I'm just hoping
have treatment.
Because cancer's hard enough as it is, but to have such a rare type
Yeah.
of cancer, and it's one of the most deadliest ones as well. And I think, why us?
I know.
Or why me? Why my boy?
It's not
Why
fair.
my little
Yeah.
one? We're now left without him.
And then Henley, your other son, how old's he then?
He's 6.
He's 6. Okay.
But he was struggling a little
Yeah.
bit. Partners in crime, there was a big age difference, but they were still partners in crime. And just the thing is, he says, because I explained to him, Harrison's like a star in the sky.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, is he still in his wheelchair? And I'm like, no.
In the sky.
Yeah, and then like he opened my door and he goes, look, Harrison and all his mates are out tonight. Honestly.
Kids view it, and I think in such a lovely way.
It is.
Because they're so young and they have the awareness about it, but they've not compared to when you're older and you know more about it and everything. Whereas like that, even that saying all his mates are in the sky, that's just such a nice gesture.
Or if it's cloudy, he'll go, he's hiding, he's playing hide and seek, and it's just like, it's
nice to speak about as well.
It is, but it's what gets me, it's my throat, my stomach that hurts all the time.
It's like there's something stuck in there and you're just trying to get it out. Well, I think that's an amazing story, but like what you're doing now and raising the awareness for it.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
And it's Harrison's Army, so everyone tune
Yeah,
in.
Harrison's
Get on the TikTok. And also, finally, you said you did, was it Snowdon? You were doing some...
Yeah, we raised, I think it's like, we're like just over $7,000.
Wow.
We started Snowdon they started 2021, having done May 21, then we did May 22, but now we're going June 10th, 23 to get donations.
So keep doing it.
Yeah, every year, his memorial walk, that's what it's been called.
And can anyone join in?
Yep.
Is it like, okay,
anyone can
I'll come along, get my boots on.
That nearly killed me last year, but I'd done it. I took Harrison up because some of Harrison's ashes are in a teddy. So I put him in a backpack and off I went up Snowdon. There's loads and loads of videos of us all doing it.
Oh, good. Oh, well, we'll be there.
Yeah,
Walking up
hopefully.
Snowdon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for
Thank you,
sharing your
darling.
story. It's
Thank
just
you.
even so strong that you can come on and speak about it and all the stuff you're doing. It's just
He sent me a
inspirational.
mission.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what he
We
says.
should have brought the teddy with us. You're waving.
I didn't even think to bring his teddy.
Oh, wow. He's a bit home with Henley.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope we've raised awareness and see you next week tuning in.
And hello, welcome to Mind Over Matter, episode 3. Today we're discussing mental health and we have our guests here today. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
So I'd like today to share your thoughts on mental health.
I'm Josiah, and I'd like to start off with saying that mental health is definitely something that is not talked upon today, especially upon the younger generation. As I was coming here today, I did encounter a young lady who had told me things about home, and I'm just like, what we lack today is that figure out in society that would just walk up to a person and be like, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Is everything all right with you? Your relationships, your friendships, everything okay in here? Everything okay in here? Everything okay here? And so forth. I believe that if you really had that in society, more of that, you'd be able to actually do more for a person than what the people around them can do.
So you feel the ability to actually talk is almost lost these days?
I think I completely agree with that. I think there's not enough people actually caring about other people's mental health. I don't think there's not enough support around mental health just coming from peers.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of sort of the stigma around it. And I think it's because a lot of people nowadays, especially in the age of adolescence, they're very focused on having like their career and everything like that. They're very tunnel vision like.
Yes.
So they tend to just kind of forget to ask people how they're doing. They forget to ask people how the day was. And it's sort of like really important and I think they're scared of getting distracted as well. They don't want to be dragged down.
No.
And that's the thing, like, I'm not sure, like, there isn't enough people that are strong enough to be able to handle someone with mental health, and I think that's what the difficulty comes as.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think there's any triggers to mental
Yeah,
health? Do you think
I am,
anything brings mental health on? Is there anything?
I am same agree with her that in our generation people start to be too much selfish.
Right.
And if he was more respect and more help and understanding, I think there were less problems and with mental health and not just others. Because of stress, I had many problems of my health. I got gastritis. I have risk of my baby. I was between life and death. Yeah, they forced me with forceps. And I feel like my breath was going. 2-3 times I asked a mask, and the nurse asked me, why you cry after I cry? Because I just pray to God to give me one more chance for my son.
Yes.
So see, because of stress, it's not just mind, all the body, and risk your baby.
Yes,
Who cares?
you're very strong. And
I say to his father, you don't care. The life is here inside, so affect and the baby, not just me. Oh, I just pray every day to God.
Yeah.
When I saw him on table, I cried like few minutes. My body was shaking. I say, thanks God that you gave me one more chance to be alive. Even now I feel to cry.
Yes, you're very strong. You're doing really well. Do you think anything helps mental health? Do you think a depression pill helps mental health, or do you think something being focused on something, apart from a depression pill, apart from drugs from the doctor?
From my case, I wouldn't believe that a pill can help you with depression. It is just like an intake of what can be believed to help you. But as I've said this time and time again, if the problem is internal, why take something that's external?
Yeah, that's a good point.
For you to then be happy or, relieve yourself of this depression. You might not believe it, but you are an eternal being made by an eternal being. So only when you find more about who you are, taking self-analysis and finding about where you've come from, finding about the root problem of what is going on inside your life, then you can find out, okay, I didn't actually need the depression pill to find that this was going in my life. It was like, I remember this little story I had. I had a plant, it was an orchid, and I kept messing around with it. And then I found out that it was actually withering away. So the blooms were falling off, the leaves were going yellow. I took it out, I repotted it, and it only got worse. The leaves were going yellow again. They were falling off. They were quite healthy, but they were falling off. The roots were too exposed, and they dried out, they withered away, and what was left was an empty, hollow core. And then I say that to others, and I'm like, stop messing around with yourself. Stop messing around with what's inside. Don't take what's external. Like, don't do what I did and started messing around with what I needed to dive into. Because if I'm fidgeting around with this, and I'm taking it like it's some joke, then I'm really not gonna be able to find out the problem. Because even then, I was taking off what the plant needed. I was taking off the most important parts. I was cutting it, thinking it was diseased, but it was actually fine, But then the other one was just, it was fine. It grew out, and it showed over time that once you just leave it, once you let, in my case, God work for you, through you, inside you, then it will bloom, and others can bloom because of you. So once you know how to love yourself by knowing who you are, but that doesn't come if you don't know who made you, then you can then love others. It's also a thing of cross-contamination as well, because we live in a generation where people, they want to do something, then they start complaining about it, and it's like, you wanted this, you asked for it, so why would you then complain about it? We got people who want to work, but then when they start working, they don't want to do it. So if you don't work, how are you going to pay for your bills? How are you going to help feed yourself? How are you going to help the others around you? And it's like, you need to find out what you're...
I also feel if you're having sort of like biological rhythms, if once they're out of tact, you need to be structured, I think it helps with mental health. Having some sort of structure about you really helps. Do you have any coping mechanisms at all to help you with your mental health? Structure or anything like that? Exercise?
Yeah, I think it's imperative for everyone to sort of have a good routine. That naturally helps with your circadian rhythm, and it helps you sleep better. So does exercise. And I think there's a lot of other stuff you can do. It just depends on how you feel. Like, if you feel stressed, you should, do something relaxing, listen to music. If you feel angry, listen to music as well. That helps. That really helps.
But just not hard rock music. Well, unless you like hard rock music. And then if you want to get on the mosh pit, then you want to get on the mosh, yeah.
Depends. Apparently Metallica and like metal music helps people feel more confident.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
I didn't know that until research showed it. Like, if you feel, let's say, depressed or something, exercise. Tired, sleep. It's really simple. Like, if you feel a certain way, there's always a way to fix it.
Yeah,
there's always a way to
there
fix
is,
it.
yeah. And I like your analogy about the about your kid, by the way. That was good.
Yeah, more to expand upon it, but essentially as well, like, no human is without flaws. So even then, the roots of the plant, they have this thing called mealybugs. So the tiny little bugs inside that can be from the soil. Then you find out that they feed on the roots, which help the plant. So what I'm then realizing is that I've got problems I need to solve. So the plant itself is representing that I've got problems. Even when I'm trying to help myself, I've still got problems. So with that, I then need to help scheduleize my time, my weeks, my days, my months, and take time to actually know, okay, this is a problem. What can I do to fix this? Let me think. Because again, if I'm in a generation where we feel but we're not thinking, we're all gonna go into a fire and we can't turn around from it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Do you feel talking to people helps with mental health, or is it hard to talk to people?
For me, it's not hard. I'm very talkative, but now it's depending on people. Some people, if they don't like me, even see me first time, I don't know, then I avoid. But I try to speak with everyone. And I had my first depression I have when I was in high school, between 16 and 17 years.
And
just
you think
because
is it carried on through them since high school?
It's since a kid, since that time, it's affect you all the life. But because I have a good family that I speak every day, it's helped me to.
It helps you can speak to your family. So speaking to
even
someone
that time I had a problem. Because I was different than everyone. I mean, I was liking to study English, Romanian. I was the best in class. And they just come and copy after me. And then they start to accuse me that I am violent and all this. Ask my mom to come to school to check
Sounds
me.
Sounds a bit like a bit of jealousy.
Yeah. But I wasn't. I was a friend with other people from other class that they have mind and they have what to speak and they respect each other and help. But the others, all my class, they were very arrogant and selfish.
Really?
Because I was different than them, I didn't like to go out to date with all people like they did the ladies and the other boys. Because I just study and I like to be a good kid. I see myself a kid, even 18 years. I didn't say it like this. So because you are different, every group you go, you have a problem. But I'm happy that I'm not like them because I like to help people. I like to advise. Anything I can do, I never hurt anyone, even revenge on anyone. So I see everything.
Sometimes you feel if you help people, it's almost reflecting it away from yourself, though. I mean, there's the old analogy, if you're in a plane and the oxygen mask comes down, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help other people. And there's a reason for that, because you need to be centered yourself before you can help other people.
I wish everyone to help each other and to communicate more and to not hurt each other. But you see, we cannot change the world. But me, I try to help everyone that needs anything, advice, anything is possible from me. And since I was a kid, can give you a little example. My mom met a new friend that now so long time, it's so big friendship. And she bring a chocolate for me, and next day she asked, did your daughter eat the chocolate? And mom said, no, all of them. She asked to divide in 3 pieces with her brothers. She say, why she didn't eat all? Because she's like this. She likes to share everything. And then she say, why she didn't take even the big part? Because she likes to be equal. So since that time, I was like.
Do you feel do you think mental health, social media has had an impact on mental health? I mean, about everyone has to look a certain way, or or even like scrolling these days. It's like that quick dopamine hit. You know, you're scrolling through the phone. It's like it's a funny video of a dog doing cartwheels, and then that's not. And then before you know it, you've done half an hour just scrolling through.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a whole. And I think when everyone gets a like on their thing and they get a follow,
likes. Yeah, that's right.
Instant gratification. It's just like it's this feeling of like just like you get that little impulse over there. And it just kind of like everyone just jumps on it straight away. And now you can even pay to get verified as well, which gives people like a bit of leverage as well on like social media. So like I think seeing that life on social media, it makes people think that their lives have to be extremely perfect. They have to look perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
They have to be doing certain things, and it's just not true.
No.
It just makes people feel really bad about themselves. It makes people feel really insecure. Makes people feel like they have to be doing a million things in one go.
That's right, yeah. If their Instagram isn't looking like you're doing some sort of super activity all the time, then you're almost boring. And
yeah, exactly. When it's not true. Like, people live normal lives. Like, you didn't see the train trip they had to take, the 3-hour train trip they had to take to get to that ski trip. Like, and it would have been the most boring thing ever. They would have been scrolling through their phones, but you don't get to see that. You see that on the bus every day, though. And I'm sort of thinking, like, why do we, like, look at these people and sort of tend to appeal to... Like, why do they appeal to us so much? Like, even though they're just normal people, they're average people, you saw them on a train every day, you probably wouldn't talk to them. But you have people messaging them every single day. As for me, like, if I see someone on the train, I'll start a conversation with them. Yeah. Because if people look at you on a train, isn't it? It's really awkward.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's really awkward, isn't it? Like, but if you look at me, I'll just be like, yo, it's good, like, how you doing?
Yeah, and then they want to talk, they want to talk,
Yeah, you have a normal conversation with
So how would you, if someone is suffering from mental health, how would you approach them? Would you say, is everything okay? And then sometimes that's all we need, isn't it? Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, is everything okay? And then what if you want to take that further, you want to talk about it, you talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't
My door's open if it's here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I mean, like, a lot of people tend to forget that, like, asking if you're okay in the start of a conversation or just calling up to say hi is a really nice thing. Yeah. People don't do that anymore. People just call up if they want something, and it's just...
That's exactly right,
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Yeah, I totally agree with you, what you said. People don't... Again, they focus on themselves and they don't want to walk with others. So yeah.
Yeah, was there anything else to add?
Is the problem and with selfish and with racist. Everywhere I go, I have a problem. Even a nursery, he was beat by another kid, and I complained to the director. She say, we don't see, we don't hear. Why is all the time the problem? I'm not the only one foreign, and my son, he got double citizen.
Well, we've made some really...
should be all equal. Everywhere I go, I have to fight for my rights just because I'm foreign.
Well, we've made some really good, interesting points here, guys. I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and hopefully we'll see you next time on the next episode. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Mind Over Matter. My name is Sophia and I've been joined today by the lovely Natalie Tedman. Natalie, welcome to the show. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do and why you're here today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I am a self-care, self-love and mental health coach. And I'm here today just to share my message and help other women to overcome their own mental health difficulties.
Lovely. And just briefly tell us how you got to where you are today, how you got into life coaching.
So that's part of my story. So I was the overwhelmed working mum, giving to everyone else, but not looking after myself. And sadly, I've been through some trauma. So I've suffered with PTSD that turned into anxiety and depression. I had postnatal depression, and unfortunately I was suicidal at one point. And so there began my journey of self-care, of self-love, looking after myself, mental health management. And now I teach other women and I help other women overcome their own mental health difficulties and in turn help their children learn how to manage their own mental health. So, yeah.
Brilliant. What a journey. What a journey. Come out the other end. Amazing.
Yeah. Really light at the end of the tunnel. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Since you've become a life coach, what kind of things have you been up to?
Well, just last week, I was selected out of 1,000 women to be a Women Thrive Summit speaker.
Amazing.
And it was epic. absolutely amazing. It was the largest global women empowerment summit, virtual summit, from women all over the globe sharing their stories, sharing their messages, educating other women, and supporting other women to rise and thrive too. And it was amazing. We did our stories live, but of course they were recorded, and you can catch the replays on womenthrive.club/Natalie Tedman if you'd like to catch everyone's stories and empowering messages.
Brilliant. That's amazing. Amazing story. Natalie and I have had many conversations outside of this studio, and I always love listening to your stories and your words of wisdom. You're incredibly insightful. There'll be some viewers out there who will have been through the same thing that you've gone through. Is there any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with them? Any piece of advice that they take from the show?
I have so many things that I love to teach. Let's see, many things to choose from. Okay, first thing, when you wake up every single morning, say thank you. Even before you open your eyes, say thank you that I'm alive. Thank you for my family, for my children, for my home, for my car, for my phone.
So simple, but so true.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be in that state of gratitude. It changes your whole perspective. Number 2, gosh, I can't remember now. What else did I do? What do I do?
You told me about music, didn't you?
Oh,
you said there's a trick with the music your favourite song.
And dancing.
Yeah.
Put a banging tune on, blast it loud, and dance like no one is watching.
Your neighbours might not appreciate that advice, but
no,
I like that advice.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to that one.
Indeed. Music always lifts us up. Movement,
absolutely,
changing your breathing and physiology changes your state, and so you increase your energy and you actually manage your mental health that way.
Absolutely. Even the science says so.
Exactly.
It must be true.
Yes. Tony Robbins. What? Number 3, get out in nature. Go for a walk, get sun on your face. It's the simple things like that that really make a difference. Meditate if you can. To go within really is the key. And then you learn to shine from within. Go within, give energy to yourself. Give yourself the self-care and self-love that you deserve, and shine bright.
Absolutely. What a wonderful message. What's next for Natalie Tedman? Where can we find you? Where can we catch you? What's next?
Lots of exciting things. I am in the middle of writing a book, and that will be my story, but also the tools and techniques and strategies that help me overcome my own mental health difficulties. So I'm very passionate about helping other people also overcome, because there's a huge global mental health crisis. So if I can be that little pebble and it hopefully make a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
That's exciting. Many other collaborations with lots of the other coaches and therapists that I've had the privilege of meeting through the Women Thrive Summit. Watch this space. Lots of amazing things.
And you're on all the social medias. We can find you there.
Yeah, so DM me on Instagram, Natalie Tedman _life coach. Just send me a message and I'll connect. It'd be lovely to meet anyone that might be struggling, and I can help you too.
Brilliant. Thank you, Natalie. And
Thank
I can
you.
personally vouch for Natalie. Incredibly insightful, and always great to listen to you. Always great to listen to your wise words, really. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll be back for another episode. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you again in the next episode.
Hi, welcome to Mind Over Matter on Location. I'm Jennifer Kearns from Rebel World and Lady Rebel Club, where we're out to empower, connect, advocate for, and elevate women in all marginalized gender, entrepreneurs, small business owners, creatives, and leaders who are neurodivergent or who have disabilities. And I'm really pleased today to introduce you to my guest, Cara Mcmurdy. And I'll let you, introduce yourself to everyone watching today.
Yeah, so I am an ex-Olympic rower. I was on the Great Britain rowing team for 10 years. But in that time, I had quite a difficult experience, to say the least. So only a few years ago, I was diagnosed as having high-functioning autism. But before that, I had been misdiagnosed as having bipolar disorder, and I was put on a lot of medication for that. And I guess the way that relates to mental health is that, like, for me, and what I'm campaigning for now is more understanding of neurodivergence in my space, in my sphere of sport. That, you know, without that understanding, athletes don't get the understanding from others that they need. They don't get the support, and then that can seriously affect their mental health. So for me, I was like, I didn't understand why I felt so different, why I found it so hard to fit into the box that people wanted me to fit into. And sorry, that's really, like, my cat is munching on food. Like, can you hear that? That's so rude. Yeah, and like, I guess constantly putting so much energy into masking and trying to change like the very fundamentals of who I am caused me to like continuously burn out, and then I guess that's what came across as bipolar disorder, the sort of ups and downs. But that was just me kind of being impacted mental health wise, and then because I'm the kind of person that wants to find a solution and always wants to progress, that was me regrouping myself and pulling myself together and like trying to fight back.
You get stuck in that cycle,
and then getting pushed down again, and you know, like, I guess that's how it came across. And I guess because I'm female,
yes,
firstly, some of the characteristics that I would display were unpalatable for that reason. So being quite sort of like bold, outspoken, honest, didn't go down particularly well, asking questions of the male coaches and things.
Oh yes, that's not often appreciated, is it?
No, it didn't. And so I guess firstly, that's why I was being made to change, or strongly suggested that I change. And then secondly, I think the gender aspect also played quite a big role in my misdiagnosis of bipolar. I think that if you look at it, obviously boys are generally diagnosed a lot earlier for neurodivergent conditions, especially autism, whereas females, and I don't know why this is, like maybe we just have fundamentally different brains, or maybe it is, you know,
there's how well we mask as well, you know. We're like champions.
We're champion maskers
by the time, especially if, you know, because it's such different criteria and such different presentations, and then you add on top of that the masking. I think that's why so many of us over the past several years now are being diagnosed because of that.
But, and I don't know whether, like, I think my question is, I don't know whether the masking is a natural thing because we're capable of doing it because we have different brains, or whether it's a societal thing, and you get to, you know, age 11, 12, and at least when I grew up, and probably when you grew up as well, there was an expectation for girls especially to conform. And so maybe that's why we developed this masking, whereas it's like boys will be boys, girls, they have to behave.
Or if you could say one thing to anybody, like in sport, or, you know, what would be the one thing that you would want to say to them if they were to watch this?
Not too many. Environments.
Where do I start?
Environments can be disabling, not conditions. I like that one. And then I really truly believe that everybody has a super strength. Like, I think all too often people are diagnosed because they're struggling, and it's like, oh, that's the reason why I struggle, and it stops there. Well, it's actually like, okay, maybe that's the reason why you struggled, because you haven't had the understanding or support, and, you know, now you have a diagnosis. Give yourself permission to be truly you, but don't stop there. Like, find what your super strength is. I genuinely believe everybody has one, and it really makes me sad when people don't believe it. And I know that it's hard to look at this happy clappy stuff online where people are like, super strengths, and I see a lot of like anti super strength stuff, and I'm like, yes, that is a bit too much, like, even for me, but you will have something that you're good at, So don't stop at just getting a diagnosis and a label. Like, let it enable you
Exactly.
go beyond.
Yes.
Like, let
Yeah.
it enable you
Love that.
to work harder to find what you're really good at. So I think, I don't know how to summarize that in a really short sentence.
Even in business, I know I would always say to people, you know, it's getting to grips with who we are and how we work, because we can't get the skills, the knowledge, like all of us, right? Every human being has strengths and weaknesses. And in business, we can't, you know, build up that business muscle, right? We need to, there's things that we don't know that we need to learn, et cetera, et cetera. We can't do that or get the extra skills or get help, right? If we don't have the skill set, if we don't know kind of what that is that we need. But just like what you're saying with the strengths, if we can really hone in on who we are and our, you know, the unique character strengths that we have, we can, you know, and it was funny because I always thought, even though at first, like I said, when I was younger with the masking, I would have been a bit of my mom and stuff always called me like a social butterfly, but I never felt comfortable with it, you know, and especially like coming over here, my husband's friend, they're all his friends, like all of them except for maybe one. And I would have been like, I'm not good at building relationships. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. And that's just it. Right. And I kind of drew a line under it. And even in business, so many people were saying, well, go and do this and you could do all of these things. No, because I can't build relationships. And ironically now through Lady Rebel Club, once I kind of embraced, you know what, maybe because of my ADHD, I don't know, but I do have this like, wow, kind of side too, that's really energetic and bubbly and, you know, and all of this. And I said, yeah, I actually am pretty good virtually, especially maybe not
Me
quite
too,
as much
yeah,
in
me
person.
too.
Yes. But virtually, I'm like, I'm a relationship building, you know.
It just
animal
looks
is a
different.
strength.
Like, yeah.
Yes, it is very different. So
I think that's yeah, I totally agree. Like, there was a short period in which I was like, autism, okay. I listened to other people. I thought maybe I don't like change. Maybe I don't like variety. Maybe I'm not good socially. Maybe I can't talk in public. And I nearly let that actually dictate my actions. And I nearly sort of molded myself into what I thought a label meant.
Yeah.
So a label should be empowering and not disabling. And I just would love other people to understand that too and to try and live
brilliant.
that.
Yes, so true.
You're you before you're your label. The label literally should only be a helpful guide to how to be your best self.
Definitely.
Like, you know, how to be a good communicator. If you have autism, like you can still be a good communicator. It just might look a bit different.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it. And but again, when you extrapolate that out, it's like everything in life, you know, we all have strengths and weaknesses and things that we're great at. And, you know, and there's so many people that I know who are not neurodivergent who suck at communication, you know, and stuff like that. So it's not, you know, the weaknesses aren't just limited to whatever kind of box you're put into or label that you are either. But yes, but that's been brilliant. Thanks very much again for chatting with us today. It's been lovely to speak with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.